Okay, so welcome to this lesson. I'm on Victor China table Manama. As always, for premium hands are aces, kings, queens, and then your good raising hands are ace, king, king, queen, ace, queen. And using really just those combinations of hands, you should be able to turn a profit. Also, small pairs are very effective, but remember, with small pairs, you're looking to trip, i.e. make three of a kind. So you don't want to too heavily invest. With all of these hands, it's a great skill to be able to play after flop, so you don't want to commit yourself too strongly. Pre-flop, you want to... Okay, we're just big blind now. So we've been down 7-5 of diamonds. I'll probably just say whether it's suited or unsuited. But this first hand we have 7-5 of diamonds, so we're in the big blind. So it's not a great hand, but if there's only a minimum raise, we probably call. Anything else, we won't get involved. So being on the blinds is a rare instance where you can take part with these hands, and sometimes they can be quite promising because they offer a lot of surprise. Your opponents won't put you on a hand that often. So here you can see we've got 7-5 of diamonds. We've hit a small pair. Now this will happen quite a bit. You don't want to get too involved. If you remember, your chance of improving your hand, i.e. getting another 5, of which there's 2, or another 7, of which there's 3. There's 5 cards, that's about 10%, so 9 to 1, 1 in 10 to improve. Also, if you think there's a flush draw, if 2 diamonds come down, which would be well disguised, but if it's 10 to 1, you don't want to be investing more than a couple of dollars, so this player's bet $10, so it's an easy fold. In all these cases, you might rightly be thinking he's betting from last position, he's trying to buy the pot, but the whole reason he does that is because he has position, so even though you think you might be winning, there's just absolutely no point. Not that I did think we were winning, but if, for example, we had a queen there, so second pair, we might think, oh, he's raising from last position just to buy it, but that's what he's entitled to do. Raise from last position, we don't know what he has. If he has us beaten, we're just going to be giving away money. And if we do have him beaten, we don't know what position we're in, so we're just gonna we're not going to be able to play our hand to our potential. Okay, we've got 8-7 of hearts here. Again, it's a reasonable hand. They're suited in connectors, but not at all to play $7 with. So we fold here. So the main table we're concentrating on is Manama. And remember, if you have any questions, just ask them in the text box. If you have any hands which you find particularly troublesome to play, just type them in, or any things you want to question why I've done so and so here, just ask. So we've got 6-10 from last position, so that's a fold. So as I say, we're only looking to get involved with high premium hands. So for example, our rule with small pairs, if you think on the flop you're going to hit 3 of a kind about 1 in 8 times, so 1 in 8, that's also known as 7 to 1. For every 7 times you miss, you'll hit 1 time. And you have to bear that in mind if you're thinking of playing, say, a pair of 2s, 3s, up to 7s or 8s. You're unlikely to be in the lead unless you do hit 3 of a kind, or even if you are in the lead, you won't know that you're in the lead. Unless you hit 3 of a kind, in which case they become very valuable. But you have to bear them in mind that if you're only going to hit on the flop 1 in 8 times, you can't afford to put too much money. If you spend $10 pre-flop, you've got to make $70 profit when you hit, which is quite hard to do on these stakes. So as a general rule, I look to make sure I've got at least 4 times what I'm calling pre-flop in the pot pre-flop. So for example, if the bet to me is $4, I want at least 3 other people in the hand to justify calling. I figure if there's 4 times what I've invested pre-flop, then if I do hit my 3 of a kind, it'd be easy enough to make up the other 4 times to give me the pot odds and hopefully a bit more to give me a profit in the long run. So we've got 7-8 here, they're offsuit. it would be very tempting. As I mentioned, position is an important thing in this game. So a lot of people really try and play strongly when they're in late position. It'd be very tempting to try and play this hand strongly, try and put in some position raises. But I really emphasise there's little point doing it. On these stakes, there's a lot of very loose people, from 5-10 cents all the way up to $1, $2, $2, $4. There's a lot of easy money, and so while you could use all your poker knowledge and experience and try and make very clever plays, it's often a simple game, which gives the greatest reward. So just playing your strong cards, wait until you have your big hands. You might think if you wait too long, people are going to suspect you have a big hand when you get involved, but there's a lot of anonymity on these stakes. People don't really pay much attention to you. So you can go for rounds without playing a single hand, and then when you do get a hand, people won't have noticed that you're quite quiet. So people will generally pay you off. Of course, it is good to try and look out for quite aggressive tables where people are called in large amounts, because that will give you bigger pots when you hit. So for example, in the lobby it will give you the average pot stacks, average pot size for example, and you'd probably want that to be quite high, so that when you do make your big hands you're more likely to get paid off. And other things you can use is Poker Tracker. If you build up stats on the different players, you can go to a table and you're getting an idea of what the average kind of aggression percentages or betting percentages or calling flop, and you can use those to track. For example, if you knew one player was very rash and loose, you might want to join that table. If you do find this style of play gets a bit boring, which admittedly if you are waiting you go for a dry patch, it might do. That's why I suggest you play 2 tables, 3 tables. Of course you only get aces once every 200 hands, but you also get kings and queens every 200 hands or so, and you get ace king, ace queen 3 times as many. So if you're on 2 tables you'll be getting a few hands every round. And for example on Manama I've just picked up king queen. It's offsuited. So the standard way I play these is normally to put in a raise pre-flop, so you do that to try and get a bit of money in the pot, but also to get rid of players, because of course you don't want to be against too many people, and if you get rid of a few you have a better idea what cards people have. In this case I was first no one had called before me, I was on the first act, so I didn't see any point in putting in a raise. The worry is, if I put in a raise and no one had called so far, I'm likely just to be up against the blinds, and when you're up against the blinds you don't really have much idea what cards, because they could have any 2 cards if they call. So you want to be able to put people on a hand. When you have ace king you're hoping that you put a raise so that people say ace 5 call, so that when the ace comes you've got them beaten. So that's why I didn't place a raise then. It's come down 4 king ace. So I've got a second pair. Now this is interesting. If I put a bet in here, I might take down a pot and win the $8. But also, if bluff to win calls, which he'd do if he has Jack 10 or Jack Queen, or of course you can have the ace, a weak ace, I'm going to be in no position on the turn unless I do hit 2 pair. So as I say, you're looking to wait for your good hands. They will pay off in the long run, so don't worry about these small things. This is a tricky thing. I have to think, does he have an ace? Quite likely, but then he could be on a flush draw, or he could just have another king. But don't worry about these hands, just give up on them. They will come good in the long run.